You learned about build profiles in Lesson 1.3. In this lesson, you'll learn how to change the settings of build profiles. To begin, open the JOSBAR web application project from your sample files folder. Now you're going to view the properties of the JOSBAR web application project. To do this, right-click on JOSBAR web application in the Solution Explorer and click Properties. The project's settings appear in the main Visual Studio window. Next, you're going to examine the settings of the Debug build profile. Click the Build tab on the left. This page shows the settings of the currently selected build profile. Click the Build Profiles drop-down menu on the top toolbar and select Debug. You learned about build profiles in Lesson 1.3. The properties of the Debug profile are now visible in the main window. The most important properties for the moment are those in the General group. Switch to the Release profile now by clicking the Build Profiles drop-down menu and selecting Release. The settings for the Release profile are displayed. You'll notice that the general settings are different for the Release profile. The most important difference here is the Optimize Code setting. When Optimize Code is selected, all kinds of optimizations will be added to your code when it is compiled. These optimizations can greatly improve the performance of your applications, but they can also cause problems when debugging. For this reason, Optimize Code is disabled in the Debug profile. You'll learn about the debug and trace constants in Lesson 6.2. Allow unsafe code is an option that you're unlikely to need to use, as it is impossible to write unsafe code in C#. Unsafe code will only become an issue if you are referencing a class library that was written in another programming language. If you've only ever worked with C# code, it's likely that you have never seen unsafe code. C# enforces its variable types very strongly. For example, this means that C# is always aware that an int variable will contain a whole number. Because of this, C# is considered a type-safe programming language. Some other programming languages allow variables to be created without fixed data types, which can lead to errors that are very hard to debug. If you add a reference to a DLL file that was created using an unsafe language, Visual Studio may refuse to compile the project unless you select the Allow Unsafe Code option. You learned about adding references to DLL files in Lesson 1.2. You're unlikely to need to use any of the other options in the Build tab, except for the XML documentation file option. You will use this option in Lesson 1.8. Close Visual Studio now, and you've now completed Lesson 1.5, Change Build Options.